You said something about Trump earlier when he went in, met with Kim Jong-un. How do you view Trump from this point of view? So I kind of want to set the whole thing up, and you tell me how you view him. So here's a man in America who's the president, the most powerful man in the world today. And on one end, he goes and meets with Kim Jong-un to try to potentially prevent him and persuade him to not do any kind of nuclear, because South Korea is a ally, and we have military bases in South Korea. Army has Camp Casey, and he's trying to negotiate to kind of get him on his side. Trump is, and how you view him because you live there. You know exactly what life is like living there. And so to see him go there saying, why would you go meet with the modern day, let's just say Hitler? You've said that before. But then on the other side, you see him go after China that has hurt a lot of people, a lot of underground, concentrate, a lot of things that you read about that almost, again, doesn't seem real. And you see a lot of people in America that are afraid of saying anything bad about China because they either have business dealings or they're making money, or whether it's Hollywood envy or some politicians. So here's the same man that on one side meets with the dictator that you lived under, and at the same time goes against a regime that everybody fears, China. How do you view how Trump's doing as a president when it comes down to these two relationships?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because this is like what I learned. I think from my journey, of course, I learned how to survive. But I think one thing that I learned the most is like really what it means to be a human, right? Most of things in life is not black and white. Of course, like Hitler was pure black evil. I do think Kim Jong-un is pure evil. There's some things we cannot discuss. Either it's black or white, right? Some things I think we have to make them like they are completely black, they are evil. But most of things are not. And I think even the man who bought me, who raped me at 13, who I wanted to kill, but he eventually freed me to go to South Korea. That's what humans are. Like, we are complex creatures. I forgave that man who bought me and raped me. And I actually even helped that man who was sent to prison. And when he got out of the prison in China 10 years later, I helped him. That's how I forgave him for that. But I think with Trump too, I think a lot of people think because I criticized Trump for North Korea with one meeting, that doesn't make Trump black. I definitely understand Trump's side, why he is from business background, and he doesn't understand when he meets a head of state, the connotation in it. In North Korean people's mind, if the leader of free world meets our leader, that makes our leader very legit. Trump, I'm sure, would not get that as much. And I'm sure also he is a deal maker. He used to make a lot of deals. So he thought without even North Korea's any preconcession, he can go in and maybe convince Kim Jong-un and come out of the tunnel. But because he is the president of this country, I do have a higher expectation for him. Given North Korea history, this regime kept this going for over 70 years. Less than 20, over 20 years, it's going to be 100 years, 1 century. North Korea has been doing this. So Trump cannot be just going in like one setting, I'm going to convince this guy out of 70 years of this history, going to ask him to change. That's not going to happen. So that is the part that I was criticizing Trump for. But that does not mean I was criticizing every single thing that Trump was doing as a president. And I think it goes to Obama, it goes to any president. I do think every president has pros and cons. They do sometimes make mistakes. They do right things. So it's not like I, go against everything that Trump does. But I do completely understand that the negative effect that Trump brought for the summit, because that made Kim Jong-un even powerful god now. Even though the most powerful country is backing this dear leader, and he, complimenting Kim Jong-un, saying like his people loving him, and he's a great leader, he's a tough guy, and that video to North Korean people and saying like, look at him, even though American presidents are worshiping our dear leader. And that was the problem that with the tourists going into North Korea. Do you know there used to be a lot of tourists going into North Korea? The Western, like a lot of Western tourists went to North Korea. It's almost like visiting, these concentration camps. People are like enslaved, but you have money, you can go and sing this like the zoo or like the roller coaster place that Kim Jong created for you to see. So when you go to tour in North Korea, you only can go see the guided places that regime allows you to see. You have to go with the guides. You cannot. And do you remember like the Otto Warmbier, the American college boy, eventually died because he was trying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like tours happening and they have no freedom whatsoever. But when these people go, they have to bow in front of statue of Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il, and that shows to North Koreans. They say everybody wants to be like North Korea. Everybody wants to come to North Korea. Look at these white people. Look at them bowing in front of statue of their leaders. They respect their leaders more than like we do. So that's how lucky we are to have our dear leaders. So that all information being backplayed. That is why I was really against Trump going to meet North Korea Kim Jong without any concession, without any much planning. And look at it, what the result. I mean, I sat there, nothing can happen, nothing happened.
Mm.
So that is the really only like context of me engaging with like his policy.
How do you view on how he is challenging and pushing and giving a hard time with tariffs and bans and all this other stuff when it comes down to China and the way he's been dealing with China?
I do wish, of course, Trump, when it comes to China, I do agree. Communist Chinese regime is the biggest threat to humanity right now. We talk about like climate change, talk about a lot of things, even pandemic, but the harm that they cause is not as little as the Chinese communist regime does to so many places in this world. There are Muslims and going into concentration camps right now. You see these millions of Muslims, right? These minority groups, they are being sent to prison camp. There's a massive the violation of privacy on Chinese people, and then people who speak out. I do think Trump did a lot of raising that issue, but I wish he does also focusing on human rights angle. It's not all about just business, trying to bring the business back to America and save the economy. But I do wish that he also understands how the regime, Chinese communist regime, is like backing this terrorist North Korea and keeping these 25 million people as slaves. And how they also in other regions, like women from Burma and like Myanmar, other regions are sent to China to be married these farmers in China right now. Because of the one-child policy, there are lack of women. And that is why I was being sold as a child bride in China. But North Korean women are not the only women being sold as a brides. A lot of other countries' women are also being affected by this, Chinese, the one-child policy and all of this current policy. So I hope that Trump, he's doing a lot already on China, but I hope he keep doing it and doing more and bringing more issues and bringing lights on other issues that people didn't know were in the past.